Welcome to Akhand Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom. Infinity. Did Ramanujan invent infinity? Is a big question mark. This is something which I would like to explain in my own experience of infinity, what I think of infinity, and what infinity the world knows, and what is the difference in making infinity a practical solution for mathematical solution for all the scientific approach of the world. From that particular point, this particular video is very, very significant. I'm not pointing fingers at anything, but I'm making one thing very, very clear to the whole world. The divine mathematics, as designed by nature, was known to rishis, maharishis, brahmarishis, and I would call even Akhand rishis of Vedas, Upanishads pretty well. And then they describe divine mathematics as a Shruti to the world, heard directly, and gave something which the world could have used it effectively and positively for generations to come, and created a beautiful mathematical design for the world to rely on without having any confusion, misconception otherwise. And I am very clear from my experience, there are two ways of approaching the knowledge. One is external, another is internal. When you are exposing yourself to the external world, you have variety of things to talk about. And that is where relativity comes up. When you are working with different relative things, the relativity to relativity is always a confusion. But in the light of absolute wisdom, relativity has a significance. This is where I would also go and make another video of relativity of Einstein and absolute wisdom or impeccable wisdom of Akhand Vidyashram or Shivbhushan Sharma at a later date. But now more and more you're in the relative world, more and more you're in the dynamic world, more and more externalize you go from the center. Confusion is going to be more and more and more because there is no consistency there. From my spiritual science experience, I find if you want to be one with the universe, you got to come back to yourselves. You got to come back to your own Antaratma, which I call Kundalini, which is helium 4. You should also come back to Gayatri and understand the solar system completely, spiral galaxy completely, Milky Way completely. You got to come back to Adi Parashakti to understand greater universe as such, the core of it. The core is Shakta from which all the power comes. Shakti is a dynamic force which manifests, but Shakti can take you to stages different from what core is. So bringing back to the core is what Akhand Vidyashram work and what I am working for generations. And I say when I say generations, it is a continuous journey of mind for generation from Veda to Upanishad to this. My Atma is omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, one part of the universal. It has come to the true knowledge. It is one with that. It understands the universe completely. It is an integral part of it. From that, I am able to get the answers to my questions from Akash Kosh directly. And this is where I have been saying very clearly, Akash Kosh frequency is 8.73 hertz, and I am able to produce 8 hertz frequency throughout my brain with eyes open, with a thinking, living consciousness from in out. As a result, I am able to get better knowledge from Akash Kosh than I am able to get from any information on the earth, which is the relative world. In that light, this particular symbol and this particular story of Srinivas Ramanujan becomes very, very important. So let me now start something with I talk about it first. My dharma is impeccable wisdom, the perfect akhandata. You cannot find fault with it. It's flawless from A to Z, and totality is in akhandata, integrated, sampurnata, purnata, otherwise. My greatest discovery is DIVYANK. For the first time in the history of mankind, which I recognized, conceived, and revealed in 2015 with a formula of 22 by 21, which is Lord Brahma's number at the first stage of creation. Then power of 10 are Dasavatara, 10 stages of incarnation of Lord Vishnu, and 0.34419 are the 5 digits of Lord Shiva dissolution, and you can find 1.618034, which is the Divyank ratio with which all the perfect objects of the entire universe, from smallest to the largest, are designed and created with. And infinity, in my opinion, is 0.618034, and that's it. A real infinity is 618034, and that is the number which is inclusive, and absolutely nothing, entire world revolves around that is infinity, which is internalized infinity. And that we will talk about it at a later date. But here I'm just giving an example to start with. So this particular Divyank and Akhandata is the one which is from inside. And entire infinity otherwise, including Sri Ramanujan's, is the externalized concept. What I mean by that is something now I'm going to explain. The real beauty of Ramanujan as a Brahmin from South India and Iyengar, and the kind of connectivity he had with Vedas, Upanishads, kind of work he did in the divine mathematics before going to England is something the world is not even aware of, to the extent I would like them to place on record impeccable wisdom of Srinivas Ramanujan, which I want the world to know how great was he before he left for England, or before he went into understanding trigonometry, algebra, and modern mathematics, which is man-made design. A person who was in tune with universal consciousness, to whom the divinity was talking, giving all the answer directly, is lost to the world of misconception, misrepresentations, and confusions. But I'm not finding fault, but his work is phenomenal, is applied in many of the things when there is always a chance to improvise on that. He was a great mathematician, born mathematician, divine mathematician, and now let me explain that particular thing in a very detail about his childhood first, because then only the picture comes very clear, and how what he was doing, then how he got into trigonometry and modern science, and what happened thereafter, then why he had to go there, and what he had done in England, and then he comes back to India once again, and the kind of thing he does after that is much more significant than what he did in England. England was a state, a presentation, in my opinion, prepared him for something in a much better way. Anyway, his applied part we'll see in the process. Now, first statement as a child. I too know he was a Brahmin, like me. I'm a staunch Brahmin, and as a result, I can talk to Brahman as such directly through my soul, Kundalini, and Gayatri, and Adi Prashakti. So as a result, only a Brahmin can be in tune with Brahman, which is Paramatma, the God, universal consciousness. That's one part, where I see and him on the same path at this particular stage of childhood. What he did as a child is what I also did as a child. This is one comparison to start with. Let's say, like me, in school teachers, there was a teacher who was trying to teach them the beauty of 1. He said 1 divided 1 which is equal. 2 divided by 2 is equal. Everything has to come 1 when same number is divided by the same number. That was the dialogue which a teacher was giving to him, and almost similar kind of dialogue I also had it. But as question comes up, Ramanujan stands up and say this particular concept is defective. It is not as right as 2, and then he says why? But if you take shunya and divide by shunya, you get shunya. You do not get 1. So your one answer is not right. Shunya by shunya is shunya. And that is where I talked about it earlier. 0 is shunya. And this is the consciousness before the world was created, which Rigved talks about is Nishidya, which Maharani Yajnavalkya talked about as Mrityu. And what I have talked about is that the isomers are neon 21, a dark matter, inert matter is one part. So he is talking of the same thing which I was talking about. I've been talking about. So 0 is at the same time he says 0 has no value. No, 0 has a value, but it depends on where it is put. Shunya has a value, but depends on where it is put. Shunya has no value if it is put before the numbers. Every number 1 to 9 have a value, but without 0 you can't go beyond 9. The world up to 9 is very good, but if you have to go to 10 and further, you need 0. And that was known to the Indians even from Vedic period. And that's the answer which I gave in the last one also. Okay, did we have 0 before? Is it Aryabhatta who invented? I said no. It was there from Rigved itself, from the very beginning. Now, an example he gives it. If you take 1 and add 0 to after 1, you get 10. Then you take 1 and add 2 zeros, it becomes 100. Then you 1 and add 3 zeros, you get 1000. And that's why the number can go on, go on, go on. And in the process, more and more zeros you add, more and more infinite it becomes. That was a brilliant answer which Ramanujan gave it to the teacher and the class. It was phenomenal. And I should be, no wonder, example of infinity, the shape is like 2 zeros only. It is not that. Whosoever designed it is like that. It's never ending. It continues as such. That's another example. He gives it to the also to his students. If you want to see the beauty of Vedas and Upanishads, you got to go back to ancient Indian Gurukul system, where teacher and student would have a dialogue. And teacher would lead student through the practical applications rather than theoretical acting alone. So in one of the process, he teaches his students about gurus of Guru Parampara were teaching their students in Gurukul system. He said, you see a tree is there, and on tree there are flowers, there are fruits, get a fruit from there. He gets a fruit. Now you open the fruit, cut it out. What do you see inside? He said, I see seeds. Now you take a seed, you cut it empty. And what do you see? He said, this is empty. This is the emptiness, shunya, and infinity he was talking about. But all the plant future is in this particular seed, in this particular empty space. And this is the shunya. And that is what it is required. All the implants are right into this particular process. If you can understand this, that you know, that means entire center of a seed can give a new life. And that is what we are. That is plant kingdom, animal kingdom, and entire thing is comes out of seed, and that is 21 in my opinion. It becomes 22. It goes to 10 stages of development, which is mandatory at every stage, and concludes with 0.344, and that's the knowledge which I'm talking about. So that is the knowledge which is saying, if you want to see the infinity as such, he had given a better answer as a child by adding 0 to 1, or for that matter, any number for that matter. 1 is simpler to understand because 1 to 10, 100, 1000, 10,000, 1 lakh, etc. It's well-known series. Even English mathematics, thousands to millions to billions to trillions and billions also goes on the same process. Their multiplication to 1,000, here also I'm talking about 1,000. That is a beautiful example which he gave it as a small child who is not at all aware of anything other than ancient Indian wisdom of Vedas and Upanishads. He talks very high of that at that meeting given because, and he makes it very clear to everybody. I am getting this knowledge from my goddess, family goddess, Namagiri, but I know I had given the answer. Actually, the answer which comes to mathematical design, it's always Saraswati. And I do know every god and goddesses by itself have got Saraswati, Mahalakshmi and Mahakali at the same time, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh itself. Let us not separate gods and goddesses separately. They are together as such. When I see Aditi, it is helium 4. When I see Gayatri, it has 10 arms and 5 heads. It represents same Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. And when I see Adi Prashakti, I see 18 arms. So I see 18 electrons, 18 protons, 18 neutrons of argon itself. And these goddesses, once you come to atmic stage, they are inert matter, noble gases. Once you understand noble gases, then only can understand the inner self, because they are better. And this is the real Shakti I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the dynamic Shakti which world is talking about, which we are going to talk with respect to infinity and thereafter here. Now, there are also certain examples which he has given in a temple also. Okay, he knows mental mathematics very well, and that was my subject. And I remember very well in school, before some question is asked, before the question is complete, I would have the perfect answer. And people will wonder, how do I know the perfect answer before the question is complete? And same story I see in Ramanujan. He had the question, he had the answer to the problem, looking at the problem itself. His mind was a very great calculator. Mental mathematics was going very well. And I also remember in one of his teachings in school, he was asked to go and do exercise by a physical teacher. And this is also, I see a similarity between him and him. Then he says, no, I do exercise, but I do mental exercise, not physical exercise. I'm more focused into mathematics. That itself takes care of it. And I do believe, as a medical doctor, as an individual, that physical exercise is equally important, emotional is important, mental is important, intellectual is important, even divine knowledge is important. So example of exercise should not be the physical exercise. Anything to be stretched within physiological limits to get the perfection is a real example of exercise which I have spoken to my students over and over. From that angle, it becomes very important how we proceed to the next stage of impeccable wisdom to know perfection to the core, and that is Akhandata. Now, coming to the divine mathematics of Ramanujan, he also gives a dialogue. Mother asks, there is one lotus flower plant which gives one flower one day, and the second flower the next day, and it goes on multiplying. Now, once you come to the pond which has got half the lotus ponds, how long will it take to fill the whole lotus pond? And first process has taken 15 days. From 1 to this is 15 days. Now, further, how long is going to take? His father gives, it will take another 15 days. But the answer to that given by Ramanujan is, it will take only one day. In another one day, this full number will fill it up the entire thing. It's a brilliant answer a child is giving. And that is called intuitive mathematics. That is divine mathematics. When you are in tune with universal consciousness, and that is what Shruti is, that is DIVYANK, that is omnipotent, omniscient. He was excellent in that. And I wish if he had continued to do that, he would have delivered Vedas, Upanishads, and other mathematical conclusions, what I have discovered and given to the world Divyank, he would have done it at that particular stage. I am 100% sure. He had the same facility which I have. And I do know only people who are mental mathematicians, who listen very carefully, contemplate on to find absolute wisdom by through deletion one by one, neti, 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 like Yajnavalkyas are mine, and I do see the same thing in Ramanujan too. They did it. They found the answers, and that's it. There is also incidents where he was asked by the school teacher to create a schedule for the school which no teacher was able to do. And within few minutes he was able to produce an impeccable syllabus for the class without even single fault. And all were mentally done mathematics. And calculation known should be mental only. The people who design their brain to look at themselves, think the possibility, whether it, and as far as I'm concerned, to me, divine mathematics, simple arithmetic. plus plus, minus minus, division and multiplication, and that's it. Nothing more than that is required to be in tune with universal consciousness. That's the reality which he was good at it. That's the reality which I am good at it. And I think we see a parallel there. And I want everybody to calculate mentally. Not use calculators and anything of that nature is not going to help you. Your best brain is the most evolved. It can do wonders. But unless you use the brain to do these kind of exercises, there's no use. And that's it. And at this particular, some of these examples are also, I'm glad, are given by Tamil movie on Srinivasa Ramanujan. I would like people to see that for confirmation. Now let's move on to the next part. Now, as that is childhood is concerned, then he starts working. Let's not go into the pictures. Then he is asked to go to Trinity College, Cambridge University, at the request of Hardy, to find the answer to his equation which he had found in Chennai, Madras, at given moment of time. He goes there, lands up, and there's a discussion between Hardy, Littlewood, and other professors in Cambridge University as well as Trinity College, and done with it. But there is one particular stage in space, English movie talks about it, the tree under which Isaac Newton sat and delivered the world gravity. That is going to be another product of mine. Did he invent gravity, or he just observed? Was this observation done by the ancient Indian sages before? Is also something which I want the world to know. But unfortunately, world does not know even fraction of the divine mathematics which Indians have done, the Brahmins have done, and Brahmins taught it to Zoroastrians, Zoroastrian taught it to Arabs, they converted into trigonometry, algebra, other things, and West converted to man-made theorems, and world is confused only by the man-made theorems, and that is again a point which I'm trying to talk. Whereas DIVYANK is not man-made, it's divine design, which is found at every stage. To be in tune with that, you have to be in tune with universal consciousness. Now comes a new chapter coming up, and what he did in Cambridge University or Trinity College. Now this particular picture of two of them is given one particular formula, which I'm not going into details. It is much beyond anybody's comprehension. And I'm not here to explain these man-made designs because I do not believe in that. They have only created confusion. But the world likes that. World mathematics is only for that. And let me leave it at that. And this is a formula for infinity you can see at the end. That's one of the formula of partition makers and things like that. But let me also tell you this particular formula is applicable only up to 100 and 200 digits. Beyond that, it fails miserably. This was well known, accepted even by Hardy and others. Now, this particular picture, I'm talking about concept of infinity number. Infinity is a concept area, an idea that has no end. In general, it is something without any bound. A state of endless or having no limits in terms of time, space, and other quantities. This is the definition of infinity. In the concept of infinite number, we should have a consistent that has a proven at every level of flawless, constant, incoherent is something which you're looking at. Now, in this particular picture, you can see the infinity symbol in the middle, but you can see four symbols. One is a pi, another is golden ratio, another is a power of 7, and another 1 by 3. These are the four things which things we should find. What they have tried to do about find the digits after the number. If you take pi, 22 by 7, and the numbers they have given is what Ramanujan was also trying to talk about it. I'm going to show about it. And then when it comes to question of golden ratio, 5. It is 1.618, which I have already shown in the earlier one, or 1.61803397 infinity, both the numbers. That was also confusion. This is also confusion. 1 by 7, is it 1, 4, 3.142.857, or the infinite number which the world has given is also defective. 1.142.857 is enough as far as 1 by 7 is concerned. And 1 by 3rd is concerned is also the same confusion, because once you start dividing these numbers with the formulas you create man-made, you are going to have numbers which are absolutely no use in the application part. It is okay for entertainment as a mathematician you want for your profession. I have no issues with it. But doesn't help in scientific things, doesn't help in day-to-day life is a concept which I am talking about. Now, Ramanujan's the man who knew infinity or who knows infinity. This is the number 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 number can go on, which is equivalent to minus 1 by 12. That's the number he has given. But I wonder whether anyone other than him can really understand, appreciate the depth of this particular information. I'm not going to get into this because I also know this number may be well known only to Ramanujan or some of his contemporaries, or for that matter, E equivalent to mc squared 2. The value was well known to Einstein or somebody else. These are big issues. I'm not getting into that because there always be a controversy. But when it comes to the pi was the first number he had started working on before going to England itself. And he is given the digits to the tune of 3 trillion places after 3.141592 etc. goes on, and world is still going on. Whereas I am of the opinion that pi 22 by 7 should have been concluded to 3.142857 only, not more than that. This is the information which I have given. This is the information which I am sure Yajnavalkya would have given it, and that is the information even Chinese have given it to the world. And I would appreciate that it is 142857 only, 6 numbers. And I'm glad even Tesla had spoken about 6 numbers and said 3, 6 and 9 are divine numbers. But if you divide 1 by 7, when you can 142857, out of 9 numbers, 3, 6 and 9 is missing. That is divinity, because that is something which I have already explained. You can go and look at that, and then look at the formula down of the pi with which it is designed is also given very clearly here for the people to say it has got numbers but not applicable. It is confusing. It is okay entertain for mathematicians who are interested. For a common man, it is of no use. For a common man, 3.142857 is more practical, applicable, and can find no fault in it. And I've used that. And 22 by 21 is actually 1/3 of 22 by 7 itself. It's also something simpler which I've already explained about. Now comes this pi. I have already shown 22/7, and 22 by 21 is 1/3 of that. I would rather go to my formula. That first stage is 22 by 21 and number is 21 to 22. Let's leave it at that. Let's not confuse pi with these infinite numbers beyond this particular level. There is something very beautiful thing what happened in England. When Ramanujan was sick, Hardy came to see him in a taxi and he said, "What a taxi boring number. It has got 1729. When he said that particular number, immediately, spontaneously, Ramanujan said it's a very beautiful number. There's a prime numbers. And it's the only number you have cube of two different numbers giving the same number. And how did he know? He got it from goddess, and I would say Saraswati, or I call it Durga, or I call it Gayatri, or Gayatri, Aditi, or Adiparashakti. All the goddesses have the capacity, Saraswati has the capacity to give you the number spontaneously, mentally itself. And then he explained it. 1 to cube of 1 plus cube of 12 is also 1729. Cube of 9 plus cube of 10 is also 1729, and this is a spontaneous divine mathematics which I am talking about, which goddess gives it to you, your antaratma gives it to you, and for which you don't need an answer from outside. It is there with all of us. No wonder we human beings are the greatest creation of nature. We can be in tune with nature provided we are perfect human beings and pure vegetarian, have no habit which is unnatural. As long as we are taking food, everything which is natural, in tune with homeostasis perfectly, we can be in tune with universal consciousness once for all. And that's the beauty of divine mathematics, which I am talking about. That is DIVYANK is all about. Now there comes the question is, after his tenure in England is over, he gets his FRS and he falls sick there. Now is again point which I want to make it clear to you. We Brahmins by and large are taught that we should not leave India and go to any foreign country. All the 7 oceans are defective. India is the best, is the only rising place. This is where we can be in tune with you because it's the only place in the world which is still rising. Mount Everest is rising. We are rising. We can in tune. We are the chosen ones from that to be in tune with universal consciousness. I'm not against anybody else, but that's the reality. But since he left India, but he did not leave his vegetarian food. And what happened there? He fell sick and he was diagnosed with a TB, which many people think he could be amoebiasis, etc. I'm not getting to that detail. I'm in the medical profession. In case of past, not to be worried about. Then, after his FRS, everything is done. He comes back to India in 2019 after 6 years of time in Cambridge at Trinity College. But when he comes to India at the last 1 year when he was in India, he was still working for something. And at just before death, he came out with something called mock theta functions, which you can see. But mock theta functions are something which is very interesting. And now you can see in very interesting examples of such as a large class of mock modulation forms. There have been applications to elliptic curves, singular modules, and maybe their real quadratic, analgesic, and many other processes. But application of this particular number is very well known in computer science, in security technology, ATM machines, and many cryptology and many other applications which this mathematics is used to create random numbers, prime numbers, and bring security factors by and large. Today, security is our factor, and that factor is based on mock theta function, which was designed by Srinivas Ramanujan after coming back to India, and from India he is able to give it back. This is what I want to actually tell the people. Before going to the world, he has got divine mathematics. Then he gets into man-made mathematics. When he comes back, he goes back to divine mathematics in the light of man-made and gives the world formula which can be used for applications even today with a phenomenal improvement. And that is something which the world should appreciate. Here was the Brahmin who was in tune with God, goddess. You call Namakri or I call Saraswati. And both can be right because every god has got all the concept, whether it's Saraswati, Mahalakshmi, Mahakali, or Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, or all the 33 crore Devatas, they are all within us. We can tap that and can do wonders. Use the brain for intellectual purposes, and that's it. That's the most beautiful design. Now let's see a few more things in the process. Ramanujan partition formula, I have given it down. I'm not getting into detail. People can see and done. But these are the mathematical designs, man-made designs, highly complicated, not meant for a common man, including me. And I would have run into that, but I'm glad that instead of getting into abstract mathematics, at stage my father had a paralytic stroke, then I decided to become a doctor and help every patient. And that wide decision way back in 1964 has given me the image and 60 years of the level which I'm talking about because I'm a medical doctor. I understand perfect anatomy, perfect physiology, perfect chemistry, perfect psychology in the light of my experience within my body in India. With the pure state diet, perfection to the core, I am able to, in universal consciousness, reveal the world in the symbolic form of the picture, Akhand, which I talked about. You all the symbols you can see, DIVYANK you can see, A to Z you can see, is the divine. I am only an instrument. I am only a student. Faithful student listening to my Antaratma and divinity, external world to everybody. Finally, what is absolutely impeccable is what I am trying to speak about. That's the reality. Now, this particular formula, as in Hindi written, सिर्फ रामानुजम जानते थे. 1 plus 2 square root of 1 plus 3 plus 4 is actually infinity. That's the number he gave it to you. This is infinity root is one of the mathematical design which considered as a continuous process of infinity numbers. I'm not getting into that. Is again, it's only divergent relative world or the external size which he got influenced because of modern mathematics of that particular stage, because everybody was talking about trigonometry, algebra and things like that. We were ruled by Britishers, we were progressed by them, think like them and work like them. That we got sold to their ideas and we lost our wisdom. That is also one of the reasons why I say Vedic and Upanishadic wisdom, mathematical, spiritual science is missing because we were not allowed to continue with our thought. We were forced to think in times of the Western mathematics, Western sciences, Western subjects. We literally became slaves once again. And I'm glad, at least I am trying to bring it back to India and show this is divine mathematics. This is what we should do. Now, with that, we can change the whole thing and create a perfect subject from school, college to the university with consistency without any defect whatsoever. That is my outlook from Akhand Bharat. Now that second formula, as I told you before, is here about pi. I'm not getting into that. Is again swim story. These are the numbers I'm not interested in. And now this particular square root of x plus y is equal to 7. X plus square root of y is 11. This particular number is a unique number which Ramanujan gave it to you. How exactly he did, and he has done it mentally, that is something which I would appreciate him. That is the divine mathematics. It's very simple, but it is simple to only those feel arithmetic level only. Now, this particular picture has been attributed to him as a child. Before he went to England, he had made this particular picture. Now you can see 22, 12, 18 and 87. And then you see the other numbers which add up to 139. All the sides, whether on top, second, third, fourth, are up, down, or diagonally or diagonally, whichever way you look at it. It has the same number as 139. I'm not going to get details of 139, but I have a question for the people who are seeing this particular number. Do you see something which is unique? Why did he do this number, not any other number? It is not a copy of somebody else. It is not something done by somebody else. It's done by Ramanujan alone. And the proof lies in this particular picture right on top. It is 22. I mean, he was born on 22. The 12 is December. Year is 1887. That's it. Has anybody actually looked at this number and observed? That is his birthday. And on his birthday, he's created this number and shown how beautiful is the divine mind. And I have been asked clear from my experience that most of the people are able to see one dimension, two dimension, three dimension, length, breadth, and depth rule. It was time and space as a fourth dimension which Einstein talked about it. But let me tell you very clearly, I am sure Ramanujan was also in the same stage. I can see 10 dimensions simultaneously in my brain. 10 dimensions plus. You call it string theory of 11 and I call it 10.344, which is also 11. I can see that, and I'm sure Ramanujan also could see. No wonder because of that I'm able to produce 8 Hz frequency throughout my brain with eyes open anywhere and everywhere. And as a result, I'm able to be in tune with Akash Kosh and do it. That's a message which is given here. Now, this particular picture I'm very fond of. The first symbol of Akash Kosh, Akash Bhuta I have given is pentagon. And here you can see numbers 1, 5, 12, 22 and 35. Do you see any divine mathematics within that? Or there is something hidden there? It's very amazing. But I can tell you, real mathematicians are the one who see the pattern. IQ is very high in people who see the pattern in mathematical design. Their IQ is very high. As Einstein is known to have very high IQ, and people are looking for IQ. And I also know when I got into medical college, we had IQ tests. I had the maximum IQ. But it did not make sense to me because I thought I'm a mathematician, I'm able to score because everything is designed on mathematics alone. But today I realize it is mathematics which makes you wonder in the universal consciousness, the divine mathematics. And that is a pattern. That is a symbolic representation. And once you are able to see the sequence, you see the frequency, you see the things lying as it is without drawing itself. Mentally you are able to see. Then you are in tune with divine mathematics. And this is a picture. Now if you take 1, 5, 12, 22 and 35 is very clear. 1 plus 3 is 4, 1 plus 4 is 5. And 4 plus 3, 7 is 5 and 12. 1, 3, then 7 is this between 5 and 12. 12 to 22 is 10. And 22 to 35 is 13. So 3 are added at every stage. 1, 3, then 3, then 3, then 3, and goes on. And the more and more you do, more and more you're going to see. This is divine mathematics. This is what is required to do mentally. You see a picture, immediately you know the answer. Now, in this particular picture, you can see there is one dot, then you have 5. This 1 plus 4 is 5. Then you have 5. Then you have again 7, which I told you. Then you come to 22. You have 10 as the last bit. When you go to the next 13, and then will be 16, and then thereafter will go on, go on, and go on. And that is the divine pattern. That is the mathematics. That is divinity, which I am talking about. Anyone who is in tune with that would be in tune with universal consciousness. And all that put together, in my opinion, is that into this particular symbol. I think I've spoken more than about myself and other concepts. I think it's enough for this particular thing to prove. Ramanujan was a great mathematician, divine mathematician. He did wonders in India before going to UK, and did wonders again coming back to India. And that's a message which I have for the entire world. India is the one. If you are pure human being, Brahman by large, you will be in tune with you. And we do not mean by Brahman by birth. I mean Brahman who are educated, who are pure, who are in tune with Brahman. I mean, and everyone is born Brahmin only. But we learn the concept. Now, difference between me, I see that external world with all the 64 sciences and arts I know of. But unfortunately, in Ramanujan case, his concentration was only into mathematics. It became a sectarian. He did wonders, but he did on that. Wonderful. Gave the world this. But I am trying to give it all the 64 arts and show DIVYANK in all the 64 arts. Everywhere is the same story. Whether it's music, whether it's art, whether it's symbolic representation, whether it's mathematics, whether it's physics, chemistry, name a thing. It has to be conclusive only with mathematical design, and conclusive mathematical design is DIVYANK alone. And I think it's enough for the day. I think let's leave it at that and say thank you very much.